I'll burn the pancakes and probably the house too, but baby, it's stuck to me like glue.
Hello, party people, friends and lovers, strangers and neighbors, friends and family. Welcome all. Thanks for being here with me on episode 11. So I wanted to talk to you guys today about something that could potentially be controversial, but I wanted to start off by saying, as a reminder, these podcasts are not to tell you what to do and how to think, but to examine your own life and examine your own mind, and for you to make conclusions for yourself based off of your personal life and experiences and the people around you. I'm not here to say, live this way, say this, this is how you get to XYZ. Because how could I? I'm not some watered down social media post telling you how to think and feel for clicks. Have you ever tried reaching out to all of those people that have 50,000 followers or, 50,000 shares, or have you actually tried reaching out to them for advice or to talk to them? You can't get a hold of them because that's not the point. It's clickbait. It's likes. It's this we're not even going to get into that. Don't even get me started on a tangent of social media right now. Do let me know if you would like me to talk about my feelings on social media one day. I have about 5, at least, different things I can talk about, from politics, hacking, catfishing, gaslighting, manipulation, war tactics. I mean, I can go on social media for a day. Capitalism at its finest, really. Addiction. We're going to stop. It's not the point of the story. I need to just do an episode on it one day. It's just, it takes a whole... Sorry, what is this guy trying to do? Weird. I'm sitting in my car waiting for a ride, and I'm yeah, I can push this episode out right here. I keep trying to do episodes after work when you get home, and it's funny because after a long day at work, it's I lose some of that grit and grind and that, sparky personality that I have during the day before I get all zoned out from work. Anyways, I'll probably do some talking a little bit now and then a little bit later as well. But just something that was kind of on my heart to share. So it's funny. This is not necessarily a psychic tactic at all. I'm not saying it, but I do think it's interesting how this works, where sometimes I will speak something or I will say something or I will write something, and then it ends up becoming true. I don't know what that's all about. And I can't do it for everything, but it is kind of fascinating to me a little bit that this happens because, I'll get into what I mean in a moment, but I had in my notes, do an episode on your jury duty and do an episode on your marathon. And I was trying to stew kind of how, meditate how I was going to put this all together. And it wasn't until reviewing a couple weeks ago's episode, it was episode 8. Happy Halloween, you filthy animals. Go ahead and check that one out. It's fucking great. It's not great. That's the wrong word. It's intense. It's traumatizing. It's passionate. It's a lot of things. I definitely recommend you check that one out. But there are some disclaimers and some triggers in the bio. So go ahead and see if it is proof for you. I was going to say foolproof. That doesn't make sense. See if it's self-proof. What am I trying to say? See if it's something that you feel comfortable listening to. And if you do, I do encourage you to watch it. It kind of ties in to what I'm going to talk about right now, which is the other day. It was on Friday. I was so mad. I had to go to jury duty. And for somebody who is an independent contractor, I don't get any sort of reimbursement whatsoever. I don't work one of those corporate jobs where you hand your boss a slip and you're like, woohoo, I don't care if I do jury duty because I'm getting paid for this. It's a day off of work and my job pays me to be here. Yeah, my job is not like that. I don't get sick days. I don't get vacation days. I don't get jury duty days. So if I miss a day to go to jury duty, like, fuck, like I gotta make that money up. And then I'm like, wow, so there goes my actual sick day or my actual vacation day. You know, there's pros and cons to those types of jobs. But my point is, I go in there and my dad recently retired as an eviction attorney. And he was like, you know, snarking. He's like, you know, most of the jury duty cases are, you know, landlord-tenant situations. Just say your dad's an attorney and they're not going to want you, blah, 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 blah. And for some reason, I was like, you know, just because he says that and just because I'm the type of person that I am, watch this not go into my favor. So last year when I got brought in, again, I had to take a day of work. It was actually really obnoxious because although I got dismissed, I had to go to 2 different courthouses completely not close to where they were. I had to pay for parking. And then at both of these places, after long lines and I don't know, about 6 hours, they're like, okay, yeah, we don't need you. So I was like, okay, great. And I was hoping that it was going to be that situation because that's a lot of times what jury duty is. But this time I go into jury duty and they're getting all of our paperwork. They're getting like a huge amount of us, like 50 of us. And this situation was a little different. And I was like, oh man, this is not one of those where you can ask to get out of it in the beginning. Like we are definitely all here for a reason. So I had to miss roughly more than a half day of work. And I had to go in and I remember, you know, people were bringing their laptops for work and were doing work while they were waiting. Some people had their headphones in and almost kind of pacing back and forth. Like for some reason, at the time, I was very uneasy. And I was like, I don't want to be in a courtroom right now. I'm not getting paid. I'm actually losing money by being here. So what if this is my civic duty? You know, F the government. One of my favorite quotes from 7 Psychopaths, Christopher Walken. He's like, government. I mean, it's just like how I feel. Like I was just walking in and I was like, man, like what is this circus? Like, why am I here right now? So I put in some headphones and I was just kind of raging to some punk music, like trying to, you know, calm down, but I couldn't sit still and I was walking and walking and walking and I was like, man, like there was something that inside of me that was making me more uneasy than just missing a day of work. So I go to the clerk and I said, hey, what do I got to do if I got to try to get out of jury duty? Because I knew I was not going to be able to pull your dad's an attorney card in this particular case. And I said, oh, you're going to have to, like, when you go to the next place, you're going to have to, like, ask for the judge. And I was like, okay, but, like, you know, no lie, like, it's a financial hardship. Like, is that the only way? Like, I have to wait for the next step? And they're like, yeah. So after, like, I don't know, an hour and a half of everybody getting their data collected, blah, 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 we get sent to where the actual courtroom was. And I go to the courtroom and I ask the person who's kind of like representing the whole case from the jurors' side. And I said, hey, are you the one that I can ask? Like, basically, I'm going down the line, like at every step. Cause I was like, I gotta get out of here. Get somebody who gets paid to be here. Get a senior citizen who's retired. Like, please don't pick me. And she's like, no, you're going to have to go in there and ask the judge. And I was like, man. And so at this point, I was like, you know, in the past, I would have been dismissed by now if I was not needed. But in this particular case, everybody was needed. Everybody that they got was called was needed. And I was like, man, like, I'm already like stuck here. This sucks. So we go into the courtroom and, you know, you see the 2 attorneys, you see the judge, you see the defendant. Is that the right word? I should really know this. Yeah, it would be the prosecutor, whatever. You see the guy that's like, the supposed criminal or whatever, but you don't see the defendant. Yes, that would be the defendant. Okay. The other person would be the defendant. You didn't see the defendant. You just saw the person that was being prosecuted. You guys work with me on this one. It's like my brain will stop working when I try to delicately talk about these very sensitive issues. But if you ask me again in a calmer state, I'll be like, oh yeah, whatever. More like it's just not the point of the story, right? So here we are at the courthouse. The judge is talking and he's saying, all of you guys are going to be used. The first 18 people are extremely important. We handpicked them. There's a reason why we did. 1 through 18. I happened to be number 2. And I was like, what the fuck? I was like, what do you mean you hand selected? Why am I not an audience member? I was like, believe me, you do not. You absolutely do not want me in a courtroom being opinionated. That is the last thing you want me to do. Trust me. Listen to episode 8 if you do not believe me. And so here I am and I'm like mad because then the judge proceeds to say, so, this is a very slow process. This is what we need to do. And by the way, this is a criminal case. And it can go as long as next Friday. And I literally said in the courtroom under my breath, I was like, fuck. And I was so mad. I was like, wait a minute, you're going to tell me that I could lose $1,000 to $1,500 of work unpaid where I don't get that money back because I am forced to do some bullshit civic duty that I don't even believe in. And I am not getting paid for this. You guys are cruel. I was so mad. But, it only got worse from there mentally because what had happened was right after he said that, he's like, so this is the type of case that it is. Within the first week, we can't talk about it. Don't talk about it with your neighbors, blah, blah, blah. And they said after that, feel free, talk to your friends and family, do whatever you want. So I'm allowed to say these portions, right? So basically, after that, the judge said, we'll give you more information later on. But essentially, the gist is this man is being accused of threatening this woman. And essentially, in so many terms that he used, pointed a gun in her face. And in my head, I was thinking, where's the and? What happened? Where was the climax? Okay, I get the point. He threatened her. He had a gun for, okay, what else happened? That was what was in my head. Okay, and that was it. That was the entire trial. Presumably, I'm sure we would have heard more evidence, later, but, he basically said, no, she was threatened, had a gun in her face, that was it. I was waiting for what damage got done? Did she get hit or abused? Did the gun go off? Did she get robbed? Did she get raped? Were there other people involved? I was going much farther than just this, I hate to say it, baby incident. I'm not going to downplay, what had happened to this woman, but in my own experiences, I was like, okay, where's the, what else happened? I was like, there's no way you got, 50 people summoned between audience and jurors to, for this case. I don't understand. How are we all here? There's a courtroom of 50, 60 people in this room for that? This is what you want the people's opinion on? That? And so in my own brain, I was starting to get even more upset because I'm thinking, wow, this woman not only got the cops on the phone, got them to take her case seriously, went through all the channels that helped her get to this court case, and now 50 people are going to be on this woman's side, potentially, trying to put this guy away. Now, mind you, I don't know the whole story. I don't know what else happened. That's basically the synopsis that we were told, from the judge was no, it wasn't anything else. It was just she was threatened with a gun in her face, which again, not a good thing to happen. I just couldn't believe that there were 60 individuals that were like ready to take this matter seriously. And I was only upset with it because I was like, well, that's weird. There's like justice for some people, but not other people. Like, that's the sad part. And whether you think because we have way too many people on the planet, there's not enough food and resources and shelter to go around for everyone, not enough law enforcement, not enough money, not enough this and that. I mean, you guys can make excuses all day long as to why injustice happens, but, you know, I'm not going to say it's a lack of money. It's a lack of people caring. It's a lack of people doing anything about it. It's personal accountability in the situations, but in my opinion. So anyways, my foot starts tapping and I'm just like, man, like I'm just kind of getting fuming at this point. I'm like, I cannot believe I have to be here for a week plus 1 day, completely unpaid. It's essentially like I'm taking a vacation, but in hell. Like, I was so livid. And then, of course, the situation made me think of what happened to me, further explained in episode 8. And it was so fucking fascinating because we had to go through the whole process with the judge. Like, the judge, you know, said to the first 18 people, and the judge and the 2 attorneys took notes. And they all took notes like, what's your name? What's your occupation? None of your fucking business. Do you have a spouse? None of your business. What does your spouse do? Also none of your business. Those types of questions. Repeat your juror, you know, ID number, blah, blah, blah. Have you served on a jury before? What kind was it? The next set of questions was, do you have anything that could be triggering to you or upsetting to you? Do you have any relatable instances from this case? What is it? And if you don't feel comfortable sharing out loud, we will sidebar privately with each and every one of you, and we will try to understand if you are a good fit or not for this case. The third set of questions was, do you know anybody in law enforcement? Do you have any friends or family or anybody that you know that works in law? And then like the fourth was kind of like, have you ever been convicted of a felony or a misdemeanor? Like, do you have anything on your record? And I was like, wow, this is some great data for all these people. And you know, the judge is telling us like how we uphold the law and we do these things so that it's, you know, that there's justice and that we do it right and we take our time to do it right and all this kind of stuff. And I'm just thinking, I was like, we got some powerful people in the room here, but, you know, it's a lot of like talk and jargon unless, you know, somebody like, anyways. So let me just keep going on this story. I think it's like still, I'm kind of talking fast and I'm out of breath and I need to open up my car window to get some air, but I can't because I have had this one particular guy like bitch at me like, oh, well, your podcast is shit. I tried listening to it and you did this episode in a car and you could hardly hear it. I'm like, oh, gotta love the haters, right? Anyway, so I'm trying to post these episodes with as much clarity as I can while keeping it raw and genuine because I'm not just trying to sound like a catchphrase. I'm not trying to sound like a Spotify ad. Like, I'm not trying to sound a certain way. So yeah, you might hear a car go by or a fucking crow in the background because like, I don't want it to look like this just like staple of where society is at right now. I want to keep it raw. So I apologize if I'm talking a little bit fast or out of breath. I think it's just because I'm very heated about the types of conversations that I'm having right now. I even made reference to it in a previous episode that like, don't get me started on law enforcement. I think that's probably, or even the justice system. They don't even call it the justice system, right? The justice system would be like Superman and Batman, not the government. Sorry, that was funny. Anyways, I'm not saying the law doesn't work for people. It sure fucking does. It just doesn't work for everybody, right? So we go through these questions, and in the beginning, like before I knew he was going to ask questions 1, 2, 3, 4 and try to get your whole life story in front of this fucking courtroom, I was like, man, I was not expecting that you were going to ask these very personal questions. And for those that actually have things to say, this could be very triggering. And so, unfortunately, I became the teacher's pet pretty early because after question number 1, and I give my information, I was like, "Oh, Your Honor, I apologize. I was just curious, like, how, if we have like a financial hardship, like, is there a way that we can get out of this? And yes, my father is an attorney. Like, I don't know if that would help or not." At this point, I was like desperate for anything to work. And none of these were lies. They were all very true. It was just like not helping in this situation. I had a little bit of a complex situation. And I was like, yes, number 2, we will get to that. Thank you. And as soon as he looked at me like that and the 2 attorneys looked at me, I was like, oh, great. I got a target on my back now because they know I have something to say. Fuck me. And so they kept making references to juror number 2 for the rest of the, next hour or 2. And I'm like, fuck. So when it cut to my turn and I said, yes, I would like to sidebar privately. And again, I was not the only person to do this. It was really interesting how the judge was like, no, I know that most of us are victims of crime. I know that most of us see injustice every day. So it took a while to go through all these people. And I'm like, that's really sad to hear like a judge acknowledge that most of us had experienced either a robbery or domestic abuse or had a family member on drugs. Like, we literally all were kind of going through something. And I remember this woman in front of me who was in the teens. And she's like, no, it's okay. Like, I'll say it out loud. It's okay. I'll say it. And just like, I don't know, older-ish woman. Age was not important. She's like, I was going to get a Subway sandwich. And this guy came out of nowhere and I put the 20 down to pay for my sandwich. And like the guy took it and he put a gun like in the air, like he was gonna like try to rob the place. And it was so scary. And I saw a gun and I just like let him have the money and I just ran out of there. I ran. And I listened to her and she was obviously very shooken up. And I was like, and did he come after you? And did he hit you with the gun? Like, did he eat your sandwich? Like, I'm not trying to be like an asshole here. It's just maybe I'm a little desensitized and a little psychopathic in that regard, in a reference to something that I will make to something later on. We will talk about this later. I think what I wanted to say earlier too is, I acknowledge that there are so many different countries and cultures out there. And it doesn't matter if it's a firsthand incident, like we are all connected in the traumas that we feel, and it affects all of us in different ways, in different severities. Let's say, the world is sunshine and daisies your entire life, or you go through normal life hardships, and then all of a sudden you're just trying to buy a sandwich and you're like, oh my God, I didn't even think this was real life. I'm sure that could be very traumatic. So I saw this thing on social media. It was this artist that was posting pictures, and on the left-hand side, he cropped all his photos in half. And on the left-hand side was like, oh, beautiful pictures of people in America with their kids, with their dogs, living their life. And then the other half of the photo was split into like pictures of people in war-torn countries and people that were, I guess to his point, really suffering. People that like on one side was a picture of a cow that was well fed in green pastures. And on the right side was this cow where you could see his bones and, wasn't being well taken care of. A picture of somebody on the left-hand side walking their baby down the street or giving their baby a bath. And on the right side was like someone reaching for their child, like submerged in water. I mean, there was a lot. I understand the disparity. And I think in America, in a way, we are very privileged. What is that expression? It's like the devil you see or the devil you know kind of situation is what I'm trying to lead up to. It is definitely worse in other places. And I think, there's been a lot of like research studies where you go to places like Africa and these people are more happy, more grateful, more smiles on their face when they have virtually nothing. And over here, we're like, fuck this. We complain about this, blah, 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 spoiled this, privileged this. And I think it's hard because there is this disparity between a lot of countries where, I need to slow down for a minute, catch my breath because I'm just heated and passionate about all of this. As this flag outside is like clinking, America. It's actually a Californian flag. Actually, no, there is an American one next to it. America. Sorry. Yes. So there are some countries where you know exactly what corruption is happening in the government. You see the cartels in the streets. You know that the military is somebody that you pay in order to drive past you or to get that baggage through the claim. Like there are a lot of places where you see poverty and trauma and distress right in front of you. And it's the devil they see. And I'm not saying they think it's good. I'm not saying they accept it, but like that's their reality. That is, they know their government's fucked up. They know that culturally it's not right. And it really sucks when you know that there is another way of life out there and you're like, well, this is my life. And I think people that have braved the storms and crossed the borders and have done what they could to try to have a better life for their family, man, good on you. Fucking brave. That's got to be beyond tough. There is a side in America that I don't hear a lot of people talking about. And again, this is just my opinion. This is not to sway towards any side. This is just more, my family would be like, you're a cynic. I'm like, no, I'm a realist. And I don't mean that in a negative way. It means I've literally seen and experienced things that you haven't. So I'm sorry. Like, yes, I will be as positive as I can, but sometimes the truth hurts. Sometimes the truth is the truth. Even if you don't like the truth, it doesn't make it not true. That's not me being a cynic. It's just me calling it out how I see it. In America, what I see disturbs me on a psychological level. We might not see the danger. We might not see the corruption. It's not like in plain sight, but it doesn't mean it's not there. And I really hate to say this statement, but it doesn't mean it's not there in the exact same ways, doing the exact same damage. The only difference is, and this is why I did not like this town that I grew up in Orange County, everybody called it the Pleasantville city because there would be streets, and I'm not making this up, there would be streets in these cookie cutter homes. I remember when they were making them, very cookie cutter. They were like, one is pink and one is blue and one is yellow and we're on Peppermint Lane and Gingerbread Lane. Like, I'm not making this up. Like, it was Pleasantville. But if you guys have seen the movie Pleasantville, it wasn't, I'm sorry, is this ambulance trying to? No. Okay, you're good. The point of Pleasantville was like, there's things that are happening that just because it's not in sight doesn't mean there's not like some shit going on. And I think that's the problem that I really, really have an issue with our specific culture is that, yeah, it looks like Pleasantville. Yeah, it looks like Disneyland. Yeah, the trees are manicured. Yeah, the grass is green. But like, let's talk about the shit that's nobody's talking about. And just because it's not seen to you doesn't mean it's not seen to other people. And I think that form of manipulation and gaslighting, it's psychologically fucked. You're going to say everything's fine. Our pastures are green. This is what's happening. The milk you're drinking is GMO, whatever, and vegan this and blah, blah, blah. But like, come on, you guys. The same shit's going on, just in a different way. It's just not in your face. And I don't think a lot of people I can't speak for the younger generation. I know in the older generations that I've talked to, they're like, oh, blasphemy. I don't believe you. Like, no, the government is this and that. And I think only recently I've had some friends and family that are much older than me. And they're like, well, this isn't what we fought for. And I was like, yeah, I mean, it was pretty bad when you guys were like around too. Like it wasn't public knowledge. You didn't have the same resources, but has anything ever changed? Like look at the foundation of America. We have the same fucking constitution. You think our constitution, with all of its loopholes and all of these rules and regulations and all of these laws that get passed and then also not enforced, and it just depends on your money and power and your status on how you actually, accomplish these feats. Hold on, sorry. I need to send a message to my dispatcher. I'm stuck in Laguna. I was told to wait here to see if there was anything else. It's been roughly 45 minutes of dead time. I can keep working or head towards home, but whatever makes me money and saves gas and time and not be in a hot car in a parking lot. Winky face, LOL. Happy, is it Tuesday or Wednesday? Happy Wednesday. Good luck today, winky face. And thank you in advance, Savior. Inside joke with a friend of mine who finds me work. Okay, so yeah, that is what it sounds like when I'm in my brain socket. So yeah, okay, where was I? Yes, so I'm not gonna say that being in a war-torn country and you don't have any food and you're eating out of a trash can is not as bad as the same things that are happening here in the unseen. Like, fucking no. They both have their problems. And I think that's what I'm trying to mention with, like, I, quote, should have had more empathy for that sandwich story earlier. Or I should have had more sympathy for the fact that this woman who wasn't even present in the courtroom had 60 people whose entire objective was to bring peace to her case. Like, I will admit I should care more about that and not be so hardened based off of my own experiences. So that needs to be acknowledged. But I had a very interesting thing kind of happen when we all eventually got sidebarred one by one. And I end up in this hallway where it's closed to the public, but it's only like staff members of the court. And I actually really liked this judge. He seemed like legit and nice, and it looked like he cared about the law. And I had never seen a judge, that there's like that stereotype of judges. We can do whatever we want. We can bend the rules. Like, we have our sidebars in our meetings. And I'm like, it felt to me that this was the first time in my life where I was like, wow, I don't think this judge has as much power as you think he does, because he has to, I don't want to say that he has to like uphold these certain like rules. Like, obviously he can bend the rules in like very big ways, but right before I gave my story, I was like, wow, there's a much bigger picture here. And I'll talk about that in a minute. The judge put a mic in front of me. And he said, this is essentially like how we close the deal, how we seal the deal. Like, this is, I forget the verbiage he used, but this is to like seal the record, to make an official statement as why I might be prejudiced or biased towards the case. And I thought to myself, I'm looking at this judge. I'm looking at the city prosecutor's office attorney, basically like the people's attorney. And then I look at the defendant prosecutor. I like how I trip out about those two words, probably for a psychological reason. Then I look at the other, the other guy's attorney, and I said what had happened to me, which please just refer to episode 8 to get a gist. And I gave almost an elevator pitch within 5 minutes. I was like, wow, you guys want me to condense this? And I thought it was wild that I couldn't get a cop for 5 seconds to acknowledge what happened to me. And I hit so many fucking dead ends. And then I tried for so long to go above the cops and do the state assembly and the prosecutor's office and all the way up to the top of California and everywhere in between. I tried to go higher and I tried to go lower. I tried to talk to nonprofits. It wasn't working. And boop, this woman got a court case and all these people to miss work for her. Anyways, so it wasn't funny, but it was funny. You guys know I like to say that apparently at this point. It absolutely tripped me out because every single one of them, after I told the story, they said, oh my God, I'm so sorry that this happened to you. And they had this look of they were stunned because these 3 particular people might have actually been good, people. I mean, besides the fact that the people's attorney looked like my ex-husband, but a ginger and had a Lululemon tumbler he was drinking out of. Other than that, these people looked legit. And I wanted to help them. I wasn't trying to be prejudiced or biased. I wanted to help them. I believe in justice, but the irony is it's not even about justice when you go there. It's about power and status. And so the first attorney who's, what would make me a good juror because I have experience not really loving law enforcement. So potentially I would like to be, potentially my dad was saying you would be on his side because you would see that the law is not always in place. And he said, I understand what had happened to you. But if we got cops from another district, if we got cops from other cities, if, basically, if they had to uphold the law and they had to tell us on truth because it's on record, would you believe them? Would you be able to side with what they're saying as to why they did things the way they did in this case? And I looked at him with the mic in front of my face. They're all looking at me, these 3 gentlemen. I said, with respect, sir, no. I said, in my experience, that's not how the law works. What, you're going to tell me that y'all put your hand on a Bible and that's enough to get someone to tell the truth? You think that's how the justice system works? Well, you are in a courthouse and you are expected to tell the truth and do the right thing. I said, I'm so sorry. I really wish I could help you. But I said, given the fact that what happened to me is in the same area as what happened to her, I looked at the judge. I said, Judge, I lived on these cross streets right over here. I said, it's actually in bird's eye view from this courthouse. I said, Judge, with respect, Your Honor, I said, you know exactly what happens on my block. I said, you have cases here all the time. I see these criminals, they post bail all the time. They get thrown in jail, they post bail, they use the money that they have stolen from people to post bail. They get out, they get released. They get put back in, they get released. I said, Your Honor, with respect, you know exactly what happens in reality with these types of cases. I looked him dead in the fucking eye. It was kind of, I would say to myself, impressive that I was able to stand up for myself like that. And I looked at that other attorney. I said, I know exactly what happens in reality in these situations. No, I would not be a good fit. I said, believe me, I want to help. I really do. But I'm the last person that would help you. So then the other attorney, the people's attorney, city prosecutor's attorney, the one that looked like my ex-husband. And I was expecting, I did not make the same mistake. I made the same mistake twice. I looked at him. I was like, oh, this is this sweet looking little white guy. Oh, I'm sure he's the best, right? God damn. It's she didn't learn the first time. And he looked at me thinking it was a slam dunk case that I would be defending him. And it was such a trip because he said, okay. He said, well, do you trust that we will make the right decisions, that as the people's attorney, that we will set justice right, and we will do the right thing, and we will make sure that the right people. And I looked at him, second attorney. I said, with all due respect, sir, I said, after what I just told you, I said, I went to your office, so many phone calls, so many emails. You guys ghosted every single one. You would not give me the time of day. I said, and then when you ignored me so much, I went to the state assembly to get them to contact you. I still did not hear back from you. I said, that's great that you're telling me that this is how you do things and you're going to uphold the law. I said, after what happened in 2001 with that robbery and those gangsters, I said, I contacted you in 23 when 23 stuff happened. And he's like, oh, I remember what happened in 2021. I was like, oh, great. So you actually remember my specific story. You know, sir, with respect, that I was supposed to get restitution for what happened to the damage of my old condo. You are aware. Yes. Okay. So then with respect, you know that I would not be able to be opinionated and help you guys because I know how it works in real life. You guys denied and dodged every single one of my calls. When I told you that my devices were stolen and that if you guys were actually trying to, pay me restitution and make the situation right for that guy that had a bench warrant on his arrest for $30,000, I said, regardless if you found the guy or not, come on now. I said, you want me to help you? You want me to think that there is some justice here? They all kind of looked at me like, well, we don't blame her. We understand the situation. And I think the part that pissed me off was that in theory, the law was there to do the right thing. Though in theory, you are innocent until proven guilty. I kind of wrapped up this, case, and for the next few days, I felt actually extremely at peace because I thought to myself, oh, I gotta open my fucking window. Fuck that hater who said he couldn't hear it. He also didn't pay attention. Oh my God. There we go. Sorry, I needed air so fucking bad. Oh, that's what happens when you take people's opinions. I felt at peace for the next couple days after that because I felt like I got to tell 3 people of authority much higher than random cops that are completely desensitized to violence. I said, this is what happened to me. And I feel like for the first time, I got to share my story with people that, 1, believed me, 2, understood everything I was saying because they have their own cases they see all the time from where I lived. And I felt like on a recorded line, I got to finally say my piece to the people that it mattered to. Did justice get served? No. Did anything get done about it? No. But I did tell them at the very end before I left, I said, Your Honor, sir, I said, after everything I just told you, it would be a knife in my thigh that you twisted if you then tell me, after what I just experienced and how things went down, now you're going to ask me to lose a week and a day of pay, 6 total business days of pay to be here. And I know she'll get justice. I know whatever is supposed to happen is going to happen. You don't want me on this particular case. Not when I know the things that I know or have experienced what I have experienced. On top of that, if you can't claim financial hardship for this, I said, after what I just told you, if you're going to also make me essentially pay you to be here and I can't work because of it, I said, I can't think of a worse way to essentially fuck me over. I said, it'd be really fucked up. So we go back into the courtroom and it wasn't just me. There were a couple people that got excused, except for I think they got excused for a day and I got dismissed from the whole trial. And I have to take the small win where I can. I might be sitting here in a parking lot for the last 51 minutes talking to you because there's no work, but at least I'm able to get some work and make up for that. The second dispatcher came in and I'll be good. Sorry, I'm responding to him and ignoring a phone call. So I find it interesting that sometimes I have a list of these movies that I want to watch for specific reasons, even if I don't know the reasons yet. And I had a neighbor who had told me about a month ago to watch Law Abiding Citizen. And I came home that night from the courthouse and I watched Law Abiding Citizen. And I was like, God damn, this was the movie I was supposed to watch. And the infamous line in that movie is, it's not what you know, but what you can prove. And the whole point of this fascinating movie, I was so mad because it was made in 2008, 2006. And I kept shaking my head in the movie going, wow, nothing's changed. Nothing has actually changed. How is this movie not out there making groundbreaking history? Because now the truth is fucking out for everybody to see in a movie. This is how our government works. And I felt very psychopathic because I was thinking in the movie, and apparently I was not the only one that had this thought, but I was like, yeah, burn the whole city hall down. And for any government agencies or any attorneys or any corrupt, agenda-ridden people that are hearing this podcast, I understand that in America, very few people have freedom of speech anymore. Oh, it might be in the Constitution, or you think we have it, but believe me, from my social media experience alone, there's a thing called censorship. There's a thing called you upload videos of someone who is abusing you, and you try to put that on the internet because the cops aren't coming and your family can't help you, but you have evidential proof of it on your phone because you are documenting it because you knew somebody needed to believe you, and you try to upload that information on social media and error load, or black screen, or file can't send to these 50 people, oopsie, file can't go out there, oopsie, can't share this as a story, oopsie, in these 5 different countries or continents or states, we restrict this type of footage. Okay, gee fucking thanks. That is one little snippet of social media for you, and it wasn't hate speech, it wasn't violence. It's just funny to me that in the case of, say, protests. Well, see, look, we know what's happening with deportation and protests in America right now. See, it's on everybody's social media. Yeah, there's 50 fucking people with a phone doing the same fucking thing. Some shit's gonna get out, and it's gonna go out with a specific agenda in mind. But I guarantee you, if you document somebody beating you up, robbing you, somebody actively in front of you, breaking down your windows when you tried to call for help, and when you did call for help and it didn't work and it got back to the people who lived above you that were in a gang, they're like, yeah, let me call my fucking people and we're going to break every single one of your windows and climb inside of your house to send you a very specific message to not piss us off. Yeah, those messages did not get sent out on social media. So yes, there is not a thing of freedom of speech. You can't just say whatever you want to. Anyways, and no, I never got restitution for that. Thank the city prosecutor's office. And we had a talk about that. And I think it's hysterical. It's not hysterical, but it's hysterical. This motherfucker's like, yeah, we remember your case. Yes, I know what you're talking about. Are you sure you don't want to help? I was like, fuck you, dude, respectfully. I didn't say that, but in my head, I was like, wow, you got some nerve asking me if I'm going to help on your case because, well, but the law says, bitch, I don't even want to hear what you got to say about the law right now. So yeah, I got to be careful of the things I say. I'm not going to call out names. I'm not going to call out dates. I think the fact that I'm not talking about this when I'm hyped up on drugs or right after a traumatic event or being drugged or being robbed or any of the various things I said in episode 6, I think if I were to come back years later in a sound, clear mind, being respectful to the bigger picture and not being so intensely livid and passionate and emotional about how frustrating the world can be sometimes. Yeah, I think I'm able to talk about this and I will be able to post it and it will actually go through. But like I said, it's like there's a difference between a protest and 50 people have their phones out and they're documenting it. There's a difference between like, hey, you're watching somebody break into your home right now and you want that evidence to go out before those motherfuckers steal your phone and the evidence and the fucking proof. Thank you, social media. Thank you for denying me that. So, I think Law Abiding Citizen is a great movie to watch. I think it very much describes my situation between what happened to me and also my jury duty experience. Because there's a difference between, there's like such thing as the principle of the matter, you know? Like, hey, are you going to do something just because you need proof? Or it doesn't matter if you know, it doesn't matter if you got the insider secret, it doesn't matter. It just matters what the law says in this particular way that was written hundreds of years ago. And this is the laws and the rules and the regulations we have to live by, presumably forever until there's a revolution. And it sucks because I feel like this country needs a revolution. But how are you going to have a revolution without a lot of casualties and a lot of damage? So it's like, be careful what you wish for. And I'm not wishing for that. But it's interesting to me that, no, I don't think America is any different between what it was 100 years ago or 300 years ago. But the difference is we know things now. And do I think that things aren't going to bubble up so badly before, I don't know, it cracks? Who knows? I don't know. I don't know all the things. I'm surprised that more damage can't be done. I'm surprised. Not surprised. I mean, it's, you know, the government and the people that are powerful and rich plan it that way. Like, how can an entire world and hundreds or thousands or millions of people not take down certain organizations or do certain things? I mean, it's all fucking planned that way. And if you're somebody that believes that, you know, the government and military have technology that is so far more advanced than what we are capable of understanding, and that they know more and that they tell us what they want us to know, not necessarily the whole story. You know, it makes you wonder. But again, this is to make you think about your own life. This is not to tell you a certain agenda. I'm just telling you my personal story. I know some people got justice. I know there are people in this world that get justice. I realize that in this world that we're living in, sometimes the bad guys go away and sometimes the good guys win. Like, that happens. Of course, the world is vast and bountiful, and there are so many different things, positive and negative, and a whole spectrum in between, and different people's perspectives that life is encompassing. I'll just say that. But I think what I really wanted to say, I didn't think it was going to take me this long to say it. Maybe it's probably because I thought I was going to be really heated when I said this. And I think, thank you for letting me talk this out with you, because now I can say this part a little bit more calmly. Piggybacking on episode 8 and why I brought up this jury service was because while I was waiting for the courtroom to open up, you know, we're on the 4th floor. We submitted our paperwork. We're waiting. And there's 2 different parts, on the 4th floor and then on the 2nd floor, where I was looking out the windows and I was like, oh my God, that's where I lived. You can literally see where I lived from the courthouse. You can see that blue building. You can see the street level. You can see almost the windows of the front part of the building in which I lived, which is actually where a lot of the activity went down. You'd be able to see who came in and out. You could see the guns. You could see what was going on. You can see the people from the trap house, you know, going into, it's just wild to me. And I couldn't figure it out then. I was like, Evelyn, why do you keep staring at your old place? It's bringing back all of these bad memories. Why are you from a courthouse in this multi-million-dollar snooty fucking Fort Knox property that they built? Woohoo, homeless people everywhere, but we got a pretty shiny building. Why do you keep looking at your old place? It wasn't until today when I was reviewing episode 8 to publish, I was like, oh my fucking God, those bastards wanted proof of what happened to me. Check the fucking cameras at the fucking courthouse, you sacks of literal shit. If it was about doing justice, if it was about getting a detective involved, if it was about evidence for attorneys, you'd fucking have it. Detectives, they dig, they research, they do things like that. It wasn't about justice. It wasn't about making the situation better. That wasn't in their agenda to do so. Can we cure cancer in this world? Fuck yeah. Is someone gonna get mown down and died because they found a cure and the wrong people for financial reasons and power don't want that out? Sure, it could be. I'm just saying anything's possible in this world, good and bad. Could those cops have helped me out? Could the judge right then and there helped me out? Could the city prosecutor's office... Oh, shit. 1 second. Okay, I'm back. I'm sorry about that, you guys. I am going to actually wrap this up now that I'm driving, though, and I want you to be able to hear this clearly and not make my editor pull his hair out for trying to make it sound like I'm not driving right now. I just got a call from the second dispatcher, so... Now he's slowly making my way back home, so at least I got a little bit of change in my pocket, some gas money. I don't have gas money at all, actually. I'm dead on gas, and I'm gonna push my baby like I always do until we find the cheapest gas station when gas prices are $5 and people say the war has not affected everybody. We definitely don't have it as bad as they do right now. But fuck, it's hard. Fuck. Anyways, I think it's interesting that I was cut off in that moment because I was getting a little heated, literally from my hot car and being too cheap to put on AC, and gas being expensive, and also just literally heated. I got so mad because if I needed proof, if proof was all that actually mattered, the courtroom, the courthouse, this fucking Fort Knox building with cameras everywhere and all this security, and then just a couple doors down is my old place where all this crime happens right in front of a courthouse. Why is it that homeless people gather around libraries or crime happens around courthouses? Anyone find any of that interesting? Or a lot of sex trafficking and drug deals happen near police stations. Is it a coincidence? Who the fuck knows? I'm not here to tell you. You tell for yourself. Also, reminder, spectrum, I'm sure there's a lot of different situations. I'm just sure there's a better way of making it better. But for my own justice and for my own peace of mind, hey, cop, no, I didn't have a camera inside of my place when I was being raped or held at gunpoint or drugged, or all of these series of events happened that you didn't think was a very big deal, but because you didn't nip it in the bud in the beginning, all this fucking shit happened. Did I have proof? Yeah, your bosses actually have proof. The justice system has the proof. If you really want proof, why don't you look at those cameras from the courthouse and you could see the people coming in and out and these fucking robbers in broad daylight dragging all this shit out of my house? Why don't you ask yourself for proof? Why don't you hold a mirror to your fucking face and ask yourself if you have proof? And that just made me feel so much better. At first I was really mad. And yes, I knew that drug deals were going on between officers. I knew that because you're ex-military and you're friends with so-and-so, and because you got a lump sum of money that you can talk to your buddies and get certain things. I understand that the cops, these specific cops, did not need to do anything about what happened to me because that is not what they wanted to do because they had other reasons for what they were doing. But it made me feel better knowing that. Because it's Evelyn, what were you going to do? You could, even if you had proof, which now you've realized you do have proof. And to an attorney who's thinking outside of the box, think bigger, attorneys, think bigger. You're not going to be able to change the law. You cannot abolish all sex trafficking. But what you can do is be a better attorney, think outside of the box. And if you need proof, find the fucking loopholes. Because loopholes aren't always unethical and illegal. A lot of time loopholes are hey, actually, she does have proof. What am I trying to say? Long story short, proof is not the only thing that you need. Could the prosecutor's office written me a letter or called me back or done all of that? Sure. Could the cops be held accountable for what they did? Sure. Could the judges not maybe let these criminals always post bail for such low amounts that they keep fucking with people over and over and over and over and over again? And you're looking at me in this really nice dress and I'm respecting the court and you're like, oh my God, because our judges did not help this girl. She just told us what happened when you don't post a higher bail, when you let these criminals go free, when you sweep things under the rug, when our cops do our fucking drug deals, or when your nepotism buddies friends with the government. I mean, like the attorney I think the judge saw me in that moment and was like, fuck, we kind of messed with the wrong one. We thought she was a number. We thought she didn't matter. We thought all this didn't happen. And I feel like there was kind of a look that they gave me, like, how is she not a psychopath? How did she not turn into a serial killer? How did she not become the thing that hurt her? And I'm like, that's right, you guys. I'm not threatening you. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm here because I have to be. I'm telling it like it is. I'm giving it to you straight. I'm just trying to live a normal life and recover. And yes, not one of you was wrong. Not two of you was wrong. All of you were wrong. So it begs the question, is proof needed, or is our justice system the problem, or is there a much bigger problem? You guys could have thought outside of the box if you wanted to. You have all the proof that you need now that I couldn't figure out why I kept staring at my building. From the courthouse, from the point of the law, you have footage, if you wanted to get it, of what happened. And it gave me peace, knowing, Evelyn, you did all that you could. You couldn't do any more than what you did. And it wasn't about getting justice at the very end. Man, I would have loved justice. And it wasn't even about revenge, which, man, wouldn't that be nice? But you can't get revenge in 2026. Like, some people can, but I'm the kind of person that would never be able to get away with it. I have too much morals and ethics. It's unfortunate for me sometimes. On an individual level, we can be better people. And just like this girl today, when I was trying to drop off some pharmacy meds for this building, there were two women. One woman said, how can I help you? I said, hey, I just got to drop this off. I just need a name. And one of them looked for 5 seconds. Oh, everybody's busy. No one can help you right now. If you just wait, eventually someone will help you. And she also did not tell anybody. She just was kind of surveying the situation for herself. The other person that was in the exact same role as her said, what are you here to do? I said, oh, I'm just here to drop off some medication for these patients. I just need a name. She's like, oh yeah, no problem. I'll take that from you. My name is this. That's the difference between two different people. One person could be really fucking smart, but they're fucking lazy, or they don't care. It's like anything is possible, right? Anything is actually possible. But is someone going to care and put in the work to make a difference? Oh, this girl just got robbed. Not a big deal. We live in America. She'll get another job. Who cares about her precious memories? Who cares about her body? She'll recover. She's fine. I'm sure she has parents that love her and family that loves her. She'll be fine. But did they know that because they didn't put an end to it, that it turned into first being raped and robbed and drugged, but then trafficked, and then put into a hospital, and then held at gunpoint? Did they know all of that was going to happen? Again, you can argue if they cared or not. That's not really the point of the story. But I think on an individual level is where it matters, whether you choose to be a good person, whether you want to try or not. And maybe a lot of people don't try to be good because they're like, what difference is going to make? Or I'm low on the totem pole. You don't know. And to be honest, I don't even think it's your right or desire to know. You don't get to know all the universe's secrets. You know, I keep making references to the Ark of the Covenant being the Epstein files. I'm like, be careful what you wish for, you guys. You want to know the truth about everything? Unredacted? Well, there's a cost to that. Remember what happened in Indiana Jones when they tried to have the secrets to everything? They fucking died. Be careful what you wish for. Can the public handle everything? Also, what? Somebody writes up a piece of paper and you're supposed to believe it? I can't even. Why does it even matter if the public knows? If nothing is going to happen about it? It's just so frustrating. So frustrating. So frustrating. So frustrating. And yes, do I think people with money and power and status know 10 times more than we do? And we're just the chums that don't know any difference, and we're just going off of what's in our programmed in our social media feeds or our media feeds? Oh my God. Don't even get me started. Don't even get me started. So this was a long episode, and I was not intending for it to be very long.
I was actually going to get into the first time I ever had a problem with law enforcement, and I was going to touch up on when I lived on the bottom floor of some gang members of the first condo that I owned, but I will save that story for another day. I do want to end with this, though, because I want to leave this on a positive, uplifting note, because this is just a reminder that, like, with the good comes the bad, with the bad comes the good. And if you do not focus on the good and focus on the bigger picture, you get lost in the sauce, as some people say. I thought it was funny when a podcaster said that the other day. I was like, technically that's a cannabis reference, and you think it's cute and trendy, but whatever, it's fine. Like, you're being cute and positive, so do what you got to do for your audience. But I was like, bro, I don't think that's the correct terminology for lost in the sauce. Anyways, I guess that's the same thing as drinking the Kool-Aid. Oh my gosh. Anyways, on a positive note, I was working a marathon the other day, and God, I get so emotional every single fucking time I work a marathon. Actually, no, it wasn't a marathon. It was a triathlon. Same difference. Similar. You know what I mean? It was a reverse triathlon. And I was like, I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry. And this was around the time that I was getting ready to publish episode 10, the heartbreak episode. I'll have to see how I word the title later, but the last message that I sent about my ex, so I was in like a headspace, you know, when I was working this triathlon, and I already was like, oh fuck, like how am I gonna get through the day? Like, I already worked 5 days this week. I'm working a 6th day. I had to wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning to go to, you know, Redondo Beach at 5 in the morning for like a 6-7 hour shift. Like, I'm tired. I don't want to be here. Like, I need to rest. I need to relax. Like, but I need money because life is hard. Blah, 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 blah. And I was looking at these bike racks, and these bike racks, like, you know, basically we were there to deter people from stealing people's belongings, just making sure that people weren't biking around in a walkable area where people weren't falling on their face or like biking into fences, because yes, believe it or not, like that shit does happen. There are rules for a reason most of the time. And I had this like symbolic moment, and I looked at these bikes, maybe like 15, 20 rows of bikes. And it was like age by age group, 18 to 24 and 24 to 34 and 34 to whatever. So everybody was categorized by their age group. And I thought it was so freaking fascinating. Before you say you know anything, before you judge a book by its cover, you know, I was really humbled by this picture where everybody kind of starts around the same time. And towards the end of the triathlon, some of the people in the 18 to 24, you would think are the most fit and the most active, the most young, the most healthy, were taking longest in the pool. They were like one of the longest ones to get out. And then you see some empty bikes in the, what was it, like 64 to 80 category. And some of their bikes were gone because they had left for the day and they were already fucking done. And then you see, it was actually kind of funny. I was like, oh, the people that are kind of struggling the most are the millennial age group. The 30s and 40s, the 50s, those people are like the 40s and 50s, like they're doing a lot better. They're like more fit. Like, it's just funny. You see where they were at on this spectrum of bikes. The millennials, I'll just say, we're struggling. They fucking did it though. I mean, they were at a triathlon, like good for them, right? Like, good on you. You're fucking doing it. It was more just like a beautiful life lesson, right? So I'm going past each row of bikes. How many bikes are left? What are the age groups of the people that are doing this triathlon? Like, how winded are they? Are they doing well? Are they like, you know, what kind of support do they have out there? I look at like the millennial age group, and there are like so many rows to the 80 age group. Like, row wise, I was closer to the 18 to 24 group. And I was like, well, that's interesting. I said, there is so much life to be had, experiences to be made. Technically, according to this bike rack, I'm still a youthful person. I'm 34 years old. I'm youthful. I've still got life in me. My life is not over. My life doesn't stop here. My life potentially could keep going. Knock on wood. I don't believe in that. But like, yeah, I could get hit by a bus or whatever. But like, in theory, I have more than my life now, double, triple of life that I could still live. Do I think the buck stops here? I still have not met all the people that are going to love me. I have not seen all the redemption acts. I have not seen how justice can be served for other people, or that things can come back tenfold. I have not learned all the lessons. I have not experienced all the joy and wisdom and growth in my life. I'm looking at this fucking bike rack and I'm like, I'm still considered youth. In the grand scheme of life, I'm still young. I can still recover. Things can get better. Look at all those bike racks. Look at all those people in between. And the buck doesn't stop at 80 either. That's the best part. I said, you got friggin' 80-year-olds that are biking, running, and swimming within a span of a couple hours, and they're hauling ass and doing fucking great. And it doesn't mean that the 80-year-olds are the slower and the quicker ones are the ones in their 20s. It's like life doesn't work that way. It's not that black and white. There's not. And I thought, wow, that's so beautiful. Wow, that is so beautiful. I still got time left. I could be double my age and still be kicking ass, being healthy, having a good life. Anything is possible. And I got teary. I was like, God damn it, Evelyn, you cannot get through a marathon or a triathlon without crying. Like, they're so inspiring and motivational. I recommend it if you go and support a friend or do one yourself. I'm telling you, go in person. It is a beautiful experience. That's why I work on them. I'm like, man, I'm such a freaking sap for these things. Actually, the guy that I was working with, I guess his mom was mentally ill and his dad needed to be able to kind of keep tabs or rein on her. And so they kicked the son out of the house. I didn't hear this from him. I heard this from my boss. So my boss was like, I'm going to try to give him as much work as I can because this guy's struggling right now. It's like, God damn, he's sleeping in his car, this poor kid who needs parents. You don't know what people are going through. I remember seeing the cadets there on the base that we were on. And I was like, wow, look at these like young women that are disciplined and they're doing well and they're respectful and they're calling me ma'am. I've never heard a girl call me ma'am before. I said, wow, like, look at these girls. I was like, what makes these girls would want to do this? And we got to talking and they're like, well, we're essentially in a program for 4 months. We live on the base. There's different ranks, you know, no food and drinks this or workout like this or no visitors until this month or you pass this stage. But they said we were in a program and this is to help us make up credits because we were like continuation school kids. Either we had a rough background or we did something. And so in order to graduate on time, like everybody else, we go through this program. We sleep here, we train here, we go to school here, and we make up our credits. And I was like, damn. I saw them differently and I was like, man, I was like, these rough girls were so well-mannered and so disciplined and so kind. And it was so interesting to me. I had this conversation with this, I'll wrap on this. I talked to this guy the other day. I said, why is it, coincidentally or not, that people that are abused or people that had a hard background are more respectful and polite to people? But the people that were raised with screens in their hands or their parents didn't give a shit or they were spoiled or they could have whatever they wanted, those are like some of the most nasty, disrespectful people. But the ones that got fucking beat are the ones that are like respecting authority, respecting people. It's kind of a brain fuck. It kind of makes you think. And I'm not saying they had to have a rough background and that they should do this. I mean, this was like fucking Annie, hard knock life. Like I wouldn't want to be on a base for 4 months away from my friends and family and, you know, doing burpees at 3 a.m. and then going to school and having certain kinds of food. Like I couldn't even imagine. But I think in comparison, it was a good experience for them. And I'm like, shit, you got to graduate on time. Like that's the perk. So yeah, I just want to be reminded of the beauty that is in this world. Our world is complicated. Our world has a lot of stuff going on. We got a lot of fucking people. This girl in this elevator today said, no, I don't think the elevators are slow because we have a population problem. She gave me this funny look. And I was like, you're right. Maybe the elevators just aren't smart today. And I said, the reason why I said it was a population problem, as I said, we got 3 working elevators. You're saying you're waiting over 5 to 10 minutes for this elevator. There are that many people in this one particular spot that need the elevator. Like these are fast, quick, efficient elevators. And you're waiting 5 to 10 minutes when there's 3 of them because there's that many people in this one place. Like that's kind of what I meant. But she should have seen the look on her face. She's like, it's not a population problem of why these elevators are taking slow. But I had to like break it down for her. And I was like, oh man, I was like, this elevator is not the type of group of people that are going. I'm like, save it for the podcast. And then she was the kind of person that was like, yeah, this is AI being really fancy and smart right now. I was like, I don't think it's fucking artificial intelligence that's like making this like elevator move. And I was like, God, I hope not. I hope AI is not the deciding factor of whether or not I get to the next floor safely. I wanted to take the stairs, but it was like 7 floors, and I was like, fuck this shit. I was like, I'm not going to get locked on the 2nd floor trying to get down to the basement. Like, I'll take the freaking elevator this time. It was just funny. It did take a long time, but not as long as it was for her. Anyways, thank you for listening. Please, if you want to, keep positive. And to be honest, when you are in a rut, or you are in a certain headspace, or you're going through a heartbreak or a depression or an anger spell or any form of grief, it's tough. It's tough. And you got to feel however you want to feel. I don't know if it's true or not that life is going to keep throwing you lessons and the same shit's going to happen with different faces and different people until you get the lesson. No, I don't think the world is that freaking vindictive. I also don't think the world works the same for every single person on the planet. I think it kind of depends on what you believe in and what your faith is. And I think even atheists that don't believe in God, there is still a force, an entity, an energy, or a God or something that is carrying you through. Whatever you believe in that works for you. I truly believe as long as you are not wishy-washy in what you believe and you are firm in your convictions, it doesn't matter what religion you are. It doesn't matter what culture you believe in. I actually think we are all right and all wrong at the same time. All of us. And just because I believe in something completely different from my neighbor or my friends or my family or you does not mean that we are both not right and not both wrong. I truly believe that. But I think when you stand convicted in what you believe in, you honor your intuition, you honor your heart, you honor your soul and your brain and your spirit. Do I think great things can happen to you? And maybe it's a coincidence that you said, I hope you have a great day this morning before work. I hope you make lots of money. And I don't know how it's going to happen, but I believe that even though I got a late start, that I will come home early and still be able to make my goal. And I actually did. Do I think I have these magical powers because I wrote it down? Was I putting it out there? Was I trusting the process? Is there somebody guiding me? Who knows? I don't think that part is important, as much important. I'm starting to learn that. I know for myself, I don't get to know all the answers. I can seek something. I could go on a journey to find something. But like, you know, that trope, you can travel the world, but you still bring your problems with you. You're still the same person. But I do think things will change along the way. And you will find what you're looking for, whatever you believe in. And I think if you stay true to who you are and what you believe in, then yes, that is what's going to happen for you. So make it a good one, you know? Make it what you want it to be. Be the change you wish to see in your world. I love that quote. I really appreciate and respect you guys for going on this journey with me. This is another reminder that you are not alone, that it is it's not 80 degrees. It's got to be at least like 85, 90 degrees with my windows rolled up in like the hottest fucking car on the planet right now. And I'm like driving super far away and I'm like, oh, there's no gas stations over here that I can afford right now with a job that's not giving me worms. I am in this fucking hot car because I have that stupid guy in my head saying your fucking podcast sucks because it sounds grainy. Well, you know what? Fuck you. If you listen to 5 minutes of my fucking podcast, that ends up being this whole fucking thing. It's not for you. Move on. I don't care. But to his point, I've got the microphone close to my mouth and I want you to be able to hear it as clearly as you can. I'm trying. That was a weird way, a convoluted way of saying I'm here with you. I'm going to work. I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, what I can do, what is in my power to do. And so are you. So are you. I'm proud of you for showing up. I'm proud of you for giving life another day, another chance. I'm proud of you for holding your tongue when that person pissed you off. I'm proud of you for giving people multiple chances and seeing the good in people. I'm proud of you for not being the people that hurt you. I'm proud of you for seeing the good in the world, even though there's a lot of negativity and bad light out there. I'm proud of you for being you. And I just want to say that. Because you, alone, the way you are, despite what has happened to you, despite what your life looks like, believe it or not, you are fucking great on your own. And when you get to that point where you're like, oh, wow, yeah, how could you not understand or love me or care for me when I didn't know? Why are you blaming me for those things? I took a step back for the episode. You guys are going to hear in a little bit about that heartbreak episode. I've just gotten to the point where I love myself so fucking much and I'm fucking proud of myself. And, oh man, hold on. So I had to take that. My dentist called me and they're like, hey, we'd really appreciate it if we can change your appointment to 8 a.m. instead of 8:45. I was like, if that will help you, then yes, I will. But if you don't take those like numbers when the caller ID doesn't come through, it's like, yeah, have you ever tried to get a hold of this particular doctor's office just to try to make an appointment or get somebody on the phone? You're on the phone for like 45 minutes. Can you imagine if I tried to call her back and it took me 45 minutes just to like get her on the phone? Thank you for bearing with me on that one. I just had 2 more seconds that I really wanted to say this to you guys and not be cut off. I'm really fucking proud of you guys, every single one of you. There's so much that all of us are going through right now, and we can choose to hate, we could choose to belittle, we could choose to be petty or vindictive or immature or childish, and you are choosing to show up and get educated and be a better person, and I admire you for that. I really, 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 really do. And it does matter. It does matter. Just because you don't see it in the ways that it matters does not mean that you are not making a huge difference. I wish more people got credit for being a good person. I wish more people got gold medals and gold stars for doing amazing, heroic things or being a good person with morals or values or ethics or fucking manners. Just being polite. Not having the obsessive need to honk at somebody, not because you're trying to avoid an accident, but you want everybody to know that you're having a bad day. That person who cuts you off or says horrible, mean things to you and you don't honk at them, love you. Mad respect. Mad respect. I'm going to end it here. Thank you so much for just being you, and I promise you it is enough. You alone are enough. And it's when people say it takes time, what they mean is it takes time, experiences, knowledge, wisdom, aging, life experiences. It takes so much for time to heal. And I'm not saying it happens in full, but it just makes it is true. It just makes it a little bit easier. But I have recently learned for myself what it means, that what people actually say when you are enough. I actually had to learn for myself what that looked like. And it is a beautiful feeling when you get to that point. If you're already there, awesome. But if you're not there, just know you will figure these things out along the way. You will. And maybe these are things that you're not struggling with, but what I've noticed is some things are very, very easy for some people and not easy at all for others. Man, let's build a community where we are making those really tragically difficult things easy for some people. And the things that we're like, hey man, no sweat off my back. Not true in the situation of my car right now, but no skin off my back, no sweat off my back. What is that expression? Help somebody out. Because what is easy to you is very difficult for somebody else. I think you get the gist. I'm probably losing brain cells in this like heated car right now. So I love you a lot. Thank you for listening. Thank you for seeing the bigger picture that no, I do not need to have this manicured session at this time, every time. I really don't work that way. I think when you are sparked in a moment that is fueling you, it's kind of helpful to push something out like this. Yes, there's a time and a place for a lot of things, but do I think this episode could have been different when I got home? Yeah, and I would have still done it, and it would have sounded different, but it came out the way it came out here and now for whatever reason. And if 1 or 10 or 1,000 of you or 50,000 of you got something from this particular instance, fucking fantastic. And don't let those bastards grind you down. You can't say my entire podcast sucks just because I had the windows down when I was doing a recording and it had nothing to do about the contents of my podcast or character. I also realized with that guy too, and you know, some people, they do kick you around in the sandbox because ironically, they do think you're doing fucking fantastic. It is just a reflection of how they're thinking about themselves. And it sucks when some people have to bring you down. But in a way, I think for some people, that is a form of love. You just have to know what that is for them. And I feel for that guy, and I'm there for that guy. And he has apparently a crackhead brother with a family who enables the problem and gives him a lot of shit for it. And it's a very tumultuous, stressful environment where he lives. And he called me up and he said, I quit my job. I can't do it anymore. I forgot you're working, but can I come over and be able to sleep? Because I need somewhere to go because this is difficult right now. And he's like, fuck, I forgot you're working. I was like, bro, you can come over afterwards. Like, yeah, we're not fucking anymore because you need to have more respect for me. But like, aside from that, like, yeah, bro, I got you. Like, that's the whole point of why I got my condos, for situations just like this. Domestic violence is a real fucking thing, and it comes in many different forms. And I don't take that shit lightly. If you gotta get fucking sleep, I mean, yeah, you could sleep in the car, but like, I've done that several times. But it's also great when someone's like, thank you, I could just like sleep and like get away from my drugged out, family member who's giving me shit, because my parents don't understand the full picture. I fucking get it. I get it. I get it. I get it. I get it. So when somebody like that says that, or I listen to 45 minutes and I know for a fact he only listened to the first like 15 minutes, I'm like, it's okay, bro. I see the bigger picture. I see what's going on. Don't disrespect me anymore, you fucking fuck. But yes, you can come over, not fuck me, and relax for a while. So that's the end of that. He's like, are you going to do an episode on me? Well, there you go, bro. I didn't do a fucking episode for you because you don't deserve a whole fucking episode about you just yet. But sure, if you want to be in my podcast, there you go. That's how I think and feel about you. You didn't want anything serious anyways. I was like, bro, do not put words in my mouth. Anyways. Physician parking. God damn it. Okay, there's a spot. Okay, I love you guys. You take care. Have a wonderful day. And if you're not having a wonderful day, guess what? Shit gets better. Promise! Bye. Take care.
Alright, it's your turn. Let's do this. I know how to love, 'cause in my dreams I was taught by you. I know how to love, 'cause in my dreams I was taught by you. Spend a little time with me, and maybe you will see